I'm sitting here on my creaky porch, perched atop the rugged landscape of West Virginia. The darkness envelops me, wrapping around me like a heavy cloak, and I can't help feeling like I'm the sole survivor in a post-apocalyptic world. It's a feeling that haunts me often, living out here where the roads are long and winding and the woods are dense and foreboding. But tonight, it's more than just a passing thought. Tonight, I'm consumed with fear, every sound amplified by the stillness of the night. The distant hoot of an owl sends shivers down my spine, and I can't shake the feeling that something is watching me from the shadows of the trees. As long as I can remember, these hills have been my home. The rolling landscape of green and brown, dotted with trees and creeks, was my playground and my sanctuary. But lately, an unsettling feeling has crept into the air. Whispers of something strange lurking in the shadows have reached my ears. They called them the feral folk. Once human, but now wild and savage creatures who have lost their way in the woods. I used to dismiss it all as small town gossip, but now I can't help but wonder if there is some truth to it all. The thick canopy of trees above casts a hushed stillness over the land, making every rustle and snap seem loud and ominous. My senses are on high alert as I walk through these familiar paths, wondering what secrets lie just beyond the edge of sight. Once, on a moonless night, my buddy Jake and I were deep in the woods, stalking deer. The underbrush was thick and tangled, making our progress slow and cautious. Suddenly, a strange noise pierced through the stillness of the forest. It sounded like someone weeping. There was something very unsettling about it. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up as I realized it wasn't a sound I'd ever heard before, not out here in the woods. A sense of danger flooded over me, and I knew we needed to leave that place immediately. We turned and ran, our rifles slung over our shoulders as we pushed through branches and hopped over fallen logs. Every step felt like an eternity as we fled from whatever unseen terror lurked in the darkness of those woods. We hastily retreated back to my truck, the sound of our footsteps echoing through the dense forest. But before we could make it to safety, I caught a glimpse of something moving among the trees. It was tall and gaunt, its limbs stretching out unnaturally as it lurked in the shadows. Its eyes glowed with an eerie light, like embers burning in the darkness. A chill ran down my spine as I realized we were in serious danger. The drive back home was silent, with only the sound of our hearts beating and our minds racing. Our eyes were fixed on the road ahead, but our thoughts were consumed by what we'd just witnessed. As we pulled up to my house, we sat in the vehicle for a moment, still reeling from the experience, and looked at each other with wide-eyed disbelief. The tension between us was so thick you could cut it with a knife, like a fog that surrounded us. It seemed as though our voices had been stolen by the events of the day, leaving us speechless and lost in our own thoughts. The morning after, whispers and murmurs swirled through town like a thick fog. Rumors of the feral folk continued to spread like wildfire, igniting fear and mistrust in the hearts of the townsfolk. Some claimed to have seen them roam in the woods, scavenging for food and causing chaos wherever they went. Others believed they were cursed descendants of pioneers who had lost their way in the wilderness, while some whispered about government experiments gone awry. The once peaceful little town was now on edge, with every sound in the forest sending shivers down their spines. Who were these mysterious creatures, and what did they want? Only time would tell. I tried to dismiss it as mere small-town gossip, but the persistent whispers began to take on a life of their own. Everywhere I turned, the gas station, the convenience store, someone was murmuring about seeing them, their eerie cries piercing the stillness of the night. Some claimed that they were drawn to noise, emerging from the shadows of the woods at the sound of a gunshot or a revving engine. Their presence loomed over us like an invisible threat, sending shivers down our spines and making us question every rustle in the trees. As the days went on, the sense of unease continued to creep over me. Every time I stepped outside, even into my own backyard, a feeling of being watched washed over me. Out of the corner of my eye, I would catch a fleeting glimpse of something moving. My heart would skip a beat as I spun around, but there was never anything there. The stillness and quietness of the neighborhood only amplified my anxiety. Every rustle of leaves or chirp of birds sent my heart racing like a rabbit's, making me feel like prey in the presence of an unseen predator. It was as if the very air around me was thick with an ominous energy, constantly keeping me on edge. That night was the worst. As the sun set and the world settled into a quiet stillness, I sat on my porch, savoring every moment of peace. But then, like a haunting echo, again I heard the sound of someone crying. It was louder this time, closer. My mind raced as I knew I had to do something. Without hesitation, I grabbed my trusty rifle and stepped out into the darkness, my senses on high alert for whatever might be lurking in the shadows. The cool night air swirled around me as I ventured further into the unknown, determined to uncover the source of the desperate wails echoing through the night. I trudged through the dense forest, my feet sinking into the damp earth with each step. Still, the sound of mournful cries echoed through the trees, growing louder and more desperate as I approached. I knew that I was getting close to my destination. Suddenly, as I stepped through a clearing, there they were before me, a group of figures huddled around a tiny, flickering fire. Their faces were illuminated by the dancing flames, casting an eerie glow upon their features. Each one seemed to have eyes that gleamed like hot coals in the darkness, sending shivers down my spine. I counted 5 figures in front of me, all tall and gaunt with sallow, sickly-looking skin. Their sunken eyes glinted in the dim light as they huddled around a grotesque meal. Looked like it had been a deer at one time. My rifle shook slightly in my hands as I aimed it at them, my heart beating like a war drum. But something held me back, a feeling of unease and reluctance that paralyzed my trigger finger. I couldn't bear to know exactly what they were eating, deer or not, and I just couldn't bring myself to harm them. The smell of decay and desperation filtered toward me, making my stomach churn with disgust and pity. What had these creatures become, and how did I end up facing them alone in this desperate place? As I raised my head, I could feel their stares bore into me like icicles. The intense gaze of the figures across from me sent shivers down my spine, despite the warmth of the small crackling fire between us. We remained frozen in a silent standoff, our eyes locked and bodies tense, as if waiting for one to make a move. The only sound in the stillness was the gentle snap and pop of the fire, as if even it held its breath in anticipation. As the menacing figures started to slowly advance toward me, I felt like my heart was going to beat out of my chest. Panic set in, and I knew I had to get out of there and fast. Fight or flight, and I wasn't itching for a fight. With a sharp turn, I broke into a sprint, the sound of their cries growing increasingly louder and more piercing with every step I took. It was almost deafening, like a chorus of haunting screams chasing after me. I didn't stop running until I reached my truck, my heart beating against my ribs like a caged animal. My eyes frantically scanned the darkened surroundings. I fumbled for the keys, afraid to look back and see them chasing me. Once inside my truck, I fired it up and peeled out of there and sped home as fast as I could, adrenaline fueling my every move. Now, I sit on my front porch, the only sound the eerie silence that envelops me like a shroud. The world feels desolate and empty again, as if everyone else has vanished in an instant. Fear creeps up my spine as I wonder if I'm truly alone. I think about the gravity of the situation. The truth weighs heavy on my mind about what I just experienced. But who could I possibly confide in? The sheriff, with his skeptical eyes and dismissive manner? My friends, always quick to joke and brush off serious matters? Nah, this burden is mine alone to bear. Alone, with only my thoughts and fears echoing through these empty hills and hollers. Whispers of doubt and disbelief swirl around me like a sinister fog, leaving me feeling isolated and helpless. But I know I must face this challenge alone, or who would believe the unbelievable? I climb off the porch and have a seat on the cold, hard ground, the darkness slowly surrounding me, my mind racing with thoughts of my escape. I need to devise a plan to leave this entire forsaken place behind. But where can I go? I don't know anywhere else. The feral folk, they lurk around every corner, their eyes gleaming in the dim light, waiting for their next victim or meal. Their presence is felt in every inch of this desolate landscape, adding to the sense of unease that lingers in the air. The only sounds are the leaves of the wind and the distant howls of some unknown creature. Alone and vulnerable, surrounded by danger at every turn. But I have to persevere, to find a way out of here before it's too late. Sitting here, thinking about all this, memories of my granddaddy's stories flood my mind. He would regale me with tales of the past when these hills were still wild and untamed. The Cherokee people who call this land home lived in perfect harmony with nature. Their knowledge of the forest and its secrets passed down through generations. I can almost hear the way the leaves in the trees sounded that day and the distant calls of birds when he spoke of the Cherokee way of life, so connected to the land and its rhythms. These stories that my granddaddy told me, they were my doorway into a world that felt both familiar and mysterious, where legends and reality blurred together seamlessly. Then a realization hit me like a bolt of lightning. The Cherokee people had devised a way to deal with strange things in the woods. Through ancient rituals and ceremonies, they were able to keep all these strange creatures at bay. Memories of my granddaddy's stories continue to flood back to me. He would tell me about the Uktina, the giant serpent that resided in the mountains. It was said to be a symbol of immense power and protection against all evil forces. The thought of such powerful traditions and beliefs instills a sense and awe of reverence within me. That overwhelming sense of urgency consumed me as I desperately searched for a way to tap into the powerful forces that could ward off this menacing evil of the feral folk. Memories flooded my mind of the ancient Cherokee shamans and their ability to communicate with spirits, their words and rituals passed down through generations. With every step I took, I could feel the weight of history and tradition pressing down on me, guiding me towards whatever destiny this was. The very air around me seemed to vibrate with energy as I contemplated deeper into the mysteries of the Uktina, the spirit guardian of our people. Fear and determination battled within me, as I knew that my success in this quest would determine the fate of the people in this area. My mind wanders to a place etched in my memory, a hidden cave my granddaddy had shown me deep in the woods. It was a place where the shaman would gather at night to perform their ancient rituals. It seems like a far-fetched idea, but it's the only possibility that I can imagine right now. Trees loomed tall and dense around the cave entrance, casting deep shadows on the moss-covered ground. The air is thick with a potent mix of earthy scents, and the faint sound of chanting drifts through the air. It's a place that holds secrets and mysteries, where time seems to stand still and anything is possible. This is where I must go to find the answers I seek. Back to reality, I run into the house and quickly grab my backpack and start packing it with supplies, non-perishable food, bottles of water. I also pick up my trusty rifle. It's a risk, for sure, to venture out into the unknown, but I have no choice. The feral folk roam these parts, threatening the safety of me and my family and all the townspeople. I can't let them get too close. Can't let them harm us as they have in the past. With determination burning in my chest, I make sure everything is secured and ready for my journey ahead. My hands shake slightly as I double-check the contents of my pack, knowing what dangers may lay on the path before me. But I am focused and resolute. I will do whatever it takes to protect those I love from the terrors that lurk beyond our little town. As I carefully slide out into the darkness, I can sense the intense gaze of the feral folk upon me. These primal beings are patiently waiting for my next move, anticipating my every action, like some weird game of chess. But I refuse to give them the gratification they seek. I'm determined to reclaim my home and regain control. Every step I take is calculated, every breath measured as I navigate through the inky darkness, my senses on high alert for any sign of danger. This is my land, my birthright, and I will not surrender it without a fight. As I make my way through the dense woods, trees tower above me like ancient guardians. Their branches stretch out in all directions, reaching for the sky as if trying to touch the heavens. The air is thick with the scent of pine and moss, and I can feel the weight of the forest pressing down on me, a reminder of its ancient power and endless secrets. My steps seem guided by some strange pull, a primal instinct that tells me I'm getting close to my destination. It courses through my bones, making them tingle with anticipation. Every snap of a twig adds to the suspense, until finally I merge into a clearing, my heart pounding with both fear and excitement at what awaits me. At long last, I have arrived. The cave, hidden deep within the cascading veil of a waterfall. Its entrance is shrouded not only in mist, but in mystery, and it beckons me forward with an irresistible pull. My heart thrums wildly in my chest as I inch closer, my senses heightened to their fullest extent. The air crackles with an electric energy, pulsing with the ancient power of the Uktina. Fear and excitement mingle within me as I prepare to enter this sacred space. I inhale deeply, steeling myself for what lies ahead. With each step, the darkness swallows me whole. Though I am alone physically, I can sense the presence of the shamans in the room, the ones that came before me, their spirits hovering protectively around me. The air is thick and heavy, a shroud of ancient power hanging in the stillness. As my eyes adjust to the dim light, I can make out the faint outlines of sacred symbols adorning the walls, imbuing the space with an aura of reverence and magic. Slowly, I begin to feel a sense of peace wash over me as I surrender to this sacred place where the veil between worlds seems to thin and blur. From somewhere deep within me, I begin to chant, the ancient words of the Uktina rolling off my tongue in a foreign yet familiar language. With each syllable spoken, I can feel the energy building around me, a thick, heavy aura that crackles with anticipation. The air around me seems to shimmer and dance as if responding to these words. As I continue to chant, my voice grows louder and more confident, channeling the power of the Uktina through me. It's a feeling unlike any other, a rush of pure primal energy that courses through my veins. And as I open myself up to this ancient force, I now know that anything is possible. In an instant, my mind is overwhelmed with vivid images. The figures of the feral folk, their eyes aglow with a primal intensity in the darkness. The immense Uktina, its massive body coiling and writhing like a serpent. The solemn faces of the shaman, their expressions serious and their eyes bearing the weight of eons of knowledge. These visions fill me with both awe and fear, as I am truly glimpsing into a world beyond my understanding. Determination fills my veins as I knew exactly what needed to be done. With a deep, steadying breath, I call upon the ancient spirit of the Uktena for protection. My words flowed like a river, carrying my plea to the powerful being that resided within the earth. The weight of centuries seemed to tremble in my voice as I spoke with reverence and urgency, knowing that my fate hung in the balance. And then, to finish, I spoke these words. O great Uktena, please hear my prayer. Protect me from the feral folk and keep me in your care. Keep them far away. Keep them at bay. In this peaceful place, let me stay. My words seemed to hang in the air, reverberating off the damp, cool walls of the cave, that resonance amplified by the ancient power of the Uktena that was coursing through my veins. I felt a surge of energy and connection to the land, knowing that I had successfully called upon this ancient power. The weight of the moment settled on my shoulders as I stood in the sacred space, surrounded by the mystical aura of the Uktena. It's a humbling and exhilarating experience, and one that I will never forget. A wave of relief washed over me as I emerged from that dark, damp cave. The weight of fear and danger that seemed to suffocate me earlier is now replaced by a sense of calm and safety. I know that the feral folk with their wild hair and sharp teeth won't dare to bother me anymore. The Uktena's power, radiating from the sacred cave, will keep them at bay and protect me and my loved ones from their savagery. I take a deep breath of fresh air, letting it fill my lungs, grateful for the Uktena's protection as I continue on my journey. I slowly and cautiously made my way back home, the once oppressive darkness now feeling more bearable. The dense woods that once seemed menacing now appear welcoming, as if giving me permission to enter. My grip tightens around the sturdy wooden stock of the weapon in my hand, a symbol of control I've regained. With each step, I felt a sense of relief, knowing that I've found a way to protect myself and my loved ones and the entire little town. The moon's gentle light filtered through the trees, casting shadows that danced across the forest floor. My senses were still on high alert, but for the first time in a long while, I feel confident and capable in this familiar setting. As I approach my home, a veritable wave of comfort washes over me, and I know that I will be safe within its walls. And now, as I sit on my cozy porch, the stars above me twinkle like scattered diamonds. The gentle rustle of leaves and chirping of crickets create a symphony of nighttime music. In this very moment, I am filled with awe at the power of the Uktena, the ancient magic that flows through the land. I am one with nature, connected to the spirits and secrets that have been passed down for generations. This night will forever be etched in my memory, a testament to the mystique and wonder of our world. Eventually, I get up off the porch and head inside to my bed. As the blissful embrace of sleep slowly pulls me under, I feel a sense of peace and safety still washing over me. The feral folk, those terrifying creatures that used to haunt my dreams, they'll never bother me again. The wise and powerful Uktena, the guardian of the hills and hollers in rural West Virginia, has my back. The ancient magic and fierce protection surrounds me like a warm blanket, banishing any fears or doubts from my mind. I am safe in this enchanted land, in these old hills and hollers where the trees whisper secrets and the moon casts its gentle glow upon the land. In this moment, all is well in my world as I drift off into peaceful slumber.